Good morning, Bahamas. How are you out there? Happy to be in your company again on a wonderful Tuesday morning. We are counting down to a few more days until Valentine. We're counting down to tomorrow, which is Ash Wednesday, and we are in the Lenten season. We're going to start our program as usual with our scriptural message, and I'm going to be a guest pastor this morning. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in times of trouble. Therefore will not be fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst thereof. There is a swelling whereof the streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. Good morning, Bahamas. This is Plain Truth speaking. We're here in the studio with Freddie B. Tanya Brown is on her way. And our special guest this morning is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration, the Honorable Frederick Audley Mitchell. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell.
Morning. Good to be here.
This is going to be a wonderful morning. There's so much political excitement taking place. I have known Fred Mitchell for any number of years, and I'm always disappointed when Mr. Mitchell appears in forums such as these. And I think time is wasted in that we don't get to hear the intellectual Fred Mitchell. We don't get to hear the academic. We don't get to hear this Fred Mitchell who has basically chronicled huge patches of our history, has it in his head, has written it on paper, has it on audio, and has done a number of other pieces in video. And this is important because so often in our country, we come away with this view that we are very, very dissatisfied. We are almost ambiguous in our understanding as to what is the Bahamian, what motivates the Bahamian, what makes the Bahamian move. The thing which really gets to me, and I'm going to get Mr. Mitchell to go in depth on this issue for me. There's a underground in the Bahamas. There's a cross-pollination of the culture, which has a serious difficulty with, say, for example, Perry Christie dancing. And when we look in the mirror and when we look at ourselves and we understand that it is out of dance, we have grown to inflect and reflect who we are. You look at great Caribbean scholars like Rex Nettleford, who transformed Jamaica by dance. You look at Lyndon Pinling and the early pictures of him in London with the Alex, what's the name? The guy who did the Seven Cola commercial, the great black European dancer.
You mean Jeffrey Holder?
Jeffrey Holder, yes. Yeah. And we are telling Bahamian children that they ought to be shamed or they ought to feel that there's something imbalanced in who we are as a people because we dance. And what makes it even worse, when we get to our Christian culture and we get to David in the middle of the street, high noonday, saying it is time to dance. I'm disturbed by that because we are telling people that when we dance as a black people, that is derogatory to our culture. When we dance as a black people, we're not representing who we are. I'm going to let Mr. Mitchell comment further.
Well, it's interesting that you were going to, thanks first of all for the invitation to be here. And it was interesting that you started out with Rex Nettleford because I was going to say, as you were talking about me, that, Rex used to say, flattery will get you everywhere. But another thing he said was that our societies are the rhythm of Africa with the melody of Europe and the rhythm of Africa. And that sort of reduces what our culture is. The bit about Perry Christie and dance is just propaganda from the other side. It's meant to play on the kind of anti-black undercurrent that there is in the formal culture in the country, and that's all that is. I think you largely ignore it. As a matter of fact, I said facetiously to the Prime Minister one day when they were having problems selling VAT, that I said the easiest way to sell that was to just hire the Valley Boys and the Saxons, beat a junkanoo drum, and go down the street, say, let's all go for that. And I'm sure you've had 100% participation.
That's the Fred Mitchell I know. That's the Fred Mitchell who's able to come in freely, without censorship, and to speak clearly to power, and to speak clearly to the Bahamian people. The other aspect of it, Mr. Mitchell, is, and I want to draw you into a political fray, because I know you started your career basically as a political journalist. And oftentimes in our country, all we have before us are these entities, these organizations. And we don't know the history, what made them up, how they came into being. And there's this wonderful discourse going on in the official opposition where a senior member is using the word, Uncle Tom is using the word racist. And we know what was the genesis of the PLP. We know what is the genesis of the FNM. And these organizations would not have had their genesis had it not been these were the people on the ground in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. How wrong are we at this tenure in our political history for us to go back in time and try to undo that of which we are?
Look, I was at a funeral on Sunday. A man named Daniel McMillan died. He is the brother of Curtis McMillan, who was in the original Majority Rule cabinet. And his brothers spoke about him. And they said that when Dr. Curtis McMillan changed from PLP to FNM, all of the brothers went with him. But one brother decided that it didn't matter. He was still PLP. And the brother joked. He said, I was even his pastor, and tried to persuade him that way. He said, no, sir, I'm still PLP. Now, the point I'm making, though, is that at one point, almost everybody who was black was PLP. And that was because the PLP was the representation of the movement. We're going to be showing the films of Sidney Poitier beginning on the 13th. And the first film was No Way Out. People don't remember, kids won't know, that that film was banned from being shown here in 1950 when it came out. It was banned because it showed a black man in a situation of authority with a white man. And for some reason, the authorities at the time felt that the film couldn't be shown. And so men like Max Thompson, late Max Thompson, Cleveland Eneas, Mr. McKinney, who founded the People's Penny Saving Bank, all got together, A.F. Adley, and formed the Citizens Committee to get the ban overturned. The history of the country, therefore, is one of overcoming racial discrimination, and that's why Sir Arthur Folkes describes the 10th of January 1967 as the single greatest event since the abolition of slavery. So the slaves were abolished in 1834, and it wasn't until 1967 that the descendants of the slaves got to actually govern themselves. That was a long period, and you don't, even though that happened, the history of the discrimination and the prejudice continued and still continues in the society, and that's what you see playing out in the FNM today. People may not remember, again, 1977, when this fault line in the FNM, which is a natural fault line because they are a combination of the disaffected PLPs and the UBP, and that fault line is exposed once again. They split in 1977 and went to an election divided. Tennyson Wells was on the Cecil Wallace Whitfield side of that divide, and that divide clearly still exists today because he laid it out again on the radio yesterday. He said that's the fault line, and he said that oligarchy is still trying to control the party and control the country. In other words, they have not given up on the fact that they are the kind of natural-born leaders. I thought it was fascinating because up to that point, it appeared that people were reluctant to raise that issue publicly. And in fact, it appears that they've challenged Richard Lightman directly on whether he's a racist or not, which I thought was a remarkable development, because when I spoke at the funeral, I told them that, there was a time certainly during the period when the FNM was in office, 92 to 2002, that you had to apologize, it seemed, for saying PLP or apologize for saying the word black. It was just impolite to say those things in public. I hope we're freed of that now.
Paul Ladd used to teach that he lived through the period where the word was Negro, and then he got into a period where the word was colored, and then he woke up in the last years of his life and it was black. And he said he'd never understood why is it that some people still were hung up on the two former words. And he never appreciated why there was not enough pride in the lasting word, the black word. It takes us back to this discussion that they're having in the FNM as to their fault line, their genesis, their genetic code. How does this play out in terms of giving the Bahamian people, the new voter, the young Bahamian, a firmer grasp, more or less directly from the FNM itself, as to what the political entities in the Bahamas stand for? What is their real ideological base?
It concerns me in the sense that I'm not sure that all this rowing and fussing going on is actually being noticed by the new voters at all. It's an interesting dialogue and row for us because, of course, we've been around and, our views are set on how we approach life. And the question I always ask is, what is actually important to these kids? I mean, you look at the high schools and almost every afternoon there's a fight on the streets, and you ask, all of us are poor, got no resources. What are we fighting for? What are we fighting over? I ask them all the time, what are your ambitions? I knew what my ambitions were when I was in high school, from a primary school, what my parents taught me my ambitions should be. And they were all, if not directly, certainly the subtext was always that, black people had to make good in the society. Now the question is, what does this generation want? And it just seems to me that they are taken too much by the razzmatazz, so that when the election actually comes, it would be unfortunate if it turns entirely on who's throwing the best party, as opposed to who is best for governing the country. And the PLP has done some really important things over the last 4 years, difficult decisions to make. We are not a very time-conscious society, so things are quite slow, and they just sort of grind on. But the fact is, many things have gotten done in a difficult economic environment, and that economic environment still continues. What gives me some hope that this can be overcome is the fact that right after independence in 1973, the bottom fell out of the economy. And notwithstanding that, Pindling was able to go to elections in 1977 and still carry the country with him because people saw the distinction between their individual micro circumstances and the actual aggregate picture, which was the PLP was a better instrument for governance than the opposition as they then were. And I think that still obtains today. I think the depth of talent is in the PLP. I think the vision for the future is in the PLP. The question is whether we can sufficiently organize ourselves to tap into this young group, because that's the group that's going to make the difference, the 400 or 500, which is going to cause us to win.
Let me take you back to your concerns about the character of young people and the attitude that seems to be that is being played out in the country every day. Have we become so saturated by the politics of the hour that the political divide, the political argument has emasculated politicians, whereas in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, politicians, we could separate the politics from the mentorship. And has it become almost impossible for politicians to lead, not by example, but lead by direction as well, where people would listen? Because it comes across sometimes that no matter who is in power, who says it, there's one side that says, we ain't listening to that. That is not nationalism. You can't build a country like that. How do we correct that if that is the case?
Well, the one issue where that didn't happen this time, happily, is immigration. I mean, I was quite surprised at the unanimity on that point, to the point where even the FNM's leaders had to publicly admit that that was the right way to go. And that was one example. I mean, there were, I agree with you, there's almost a knee-jerk reaction to divisions on every single thing. I mean, one of the ones I can't understand is national health insurance. And what's very interesting about this morning's headlines is it's saying that the government is amending the program as a result of the objections of the doctors. But I would rather argue that the root is not the objection of the doctors, it's the misunderstanding of the doctors of what the project was in the first place. So, and you have that. People sit in their ideological positions. They don't listen to the facts, and they just say, well, I'm PLP, so I'm for that, or I'm FNM, I'm for that, or I'm against that, simply because the person says that. As I said, the one example that I saw during the last 4 years has been immigration, and there's almost unanimous support on that point, except for some Looney Tunes up in Grand
You, despite your stellar career and your stellar credentials in public administration, public affairs, politics, and the law, literature, I know you more over as a communications man. And it must pain you to some degree to sit at a cabinet table, to be a part of a very progressive government, and to come away every morning or every evening recognizing that there is a dearth of misinformation, that the full calendar of what you people are doing, the achievements that are being amassed every day are not being tracked, are not being properly reported. And can this maintain, can this continue? At some stage, how does the country get a full grasp or grip, in your opinion, as to how they can rate what the government is doing, see before them on a constant, non-political basis what the government is achieving, and come away to shape an opinion going towards the general election?
The work, I say, is best done, in my view, person to person and door to door. I don't see any other short-term solution to this, because we started out with 47% of the vote in the last general election. 53% of the people voted against the PLP. The media is controlled by the 53%. And so it's easy for them to drown out the noise. The noise that they make is much louder than the noise that we can make from a starting position. So ours has to be a very strategic position. And you take a book from Obama's page, a page from Obama's book. While the Republicans were busy talking about the grand picture, the big picture, and how they were going to make all these sweeping changes and sweeping philosophies, Obama looked at the vote count, the electoral vote count, and he said, what do I need to get to 260? And he picked out all the states, and he said, that's what I'm going after.
College.
Yeah, I'm not worrying about this one where I have no chance. I'm just going to get that 260. And he went after the 260, and lo and behold, it worked like a charm, because on election night, they were shocked in this last election that they thought they had all this popular appeal, and it turned out that he had counted correctly, and the 260 votes he got. Now, to put that to our example, we need 20 seats in order to win, or 21 seats in order to win. And the Progressive Liberal Party should be concentrating on where to spend its resources on those seats in order to get past the finish line. Everything else is gravy, but concentrate on what are your seats. And the thing is, Minnis understands this. I don't want anybody in any way to underestimate him. We've seen how he's operated in the Free National Movement. He largely has now complete control of the FNM's machinery, and that was by patient attack, constituency by constituency, lining up his forces in those constituencies. He's got the same playbook. He understands the same Obama playbook, and that's what he's doing now. And I'm saying that the PLP has to match that, and that's the way to focus on winning this election. And it is important for the PLP to win this election. We can't have this sort of jerking around every 5 years from this to that, zigzagging all over the place. The country needs 10 years of continuity and then make a judgment about the PLP at the end of the 10 years. So we have to focus on our core constituency. This is, in my view, not rocket science. People are disgruntled over some little things which can be fixed by the government immediately. There's no deliberation which is necessary about it. There's no consultation on it. Constituency by constituency, these things need to be fixed so that the base is energized when that election comes around and disciplined, and we deliver the goods, the 21 seats that we need. That's how I think. And, forget all this argument in the stratosphere with them. Just do your work.
What has always amazed me about your political run is how you've been able to engage a large cadre of very young people who are not just loyal to you as a PLP, but loyal to what you represent in your constituency. And I'm trying to determine, why is this template not seen replete throughout the organization? I come away sometimes thinking that every time people talk or think about the PLP, their mind goes on this thing called the Salvard Councillors. When they focus on Salvard Councillors, they see very, very old, aging men and women who come out the third Thursday of every month, and they don't see this other force. I remember in the 2002 general election, there was this nightclub on Paradise Island. I had been out all night doing some work, and I ended up at this nightclub. And there were about 20 very young persons who identified themselves as COB students. And it was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And they had come in for a light drink. And everybody who walked into that nightclub who they knew to be a Bahamian, they approached and they were canvassing for Alfred Sayers. Mm-hmm. And they made it very clear. We are attracted to Alfred Sayers. We're not necessarily PLPs, but we like what Alfred Sayers represents. We like his dignity. We like his honesty. We think he's the man we need to go with. How do we get that same test tube approach going, where young people to some extent feel as if they've been ostracized, they've been pushed out, they don't know how to really get into the mix? I'm looking for a situation where you don't have to be the son or daughter or niece or grandchild of a PLP Salvard councillor to work in the organization. How do you get a message out to the wild field that it's a big tent, come in, participate, be a part of what's going on?
Well, in a sense, when I started out in the Progressive Liberal Party, I was really nobody. I mean, I was 16. When I was in high school, I met Sir Lyndon when he came to speak at my class graduation. Both he and Cecil Wallace Whitfield and Loftus Roca on various occasions came to St. Augustine's. And his approach was, and this is one I emulate, was that, you just got to hang around him. I mean, and, people talk about these mentorship programs, and I do that. I look at those with some sort of amusement, and they say, oh, you're not teaching me anything. My view is that you just let them hang around you. They're free to go wherever they want to go, sit in on whatever they want to sit in, and learn by a process, by an organic process, not I tell you to do this. Occasionally you have a chat with them, so on and so forth. But Pinling, I went everywhere with this man, everywhere. And, he'd say, I'm going to Andros this weekend. I'm going to Exuma this weekend. So we jump on the Aztec with Norman Nixon, and we flew over there, spent 3 days, and you just watched how he operated. And I was telling the story in the House of Assembly how these young politicians now, the 20-year-olds who are looking at seats in the House, and they're railing at me about how can you be getting turkeys and hams at Christmas time? Isn't this a disgrace, and so on and so forth. And I just chuckled as I can't believe that I actually sat down before Pinling one day. I was 21 or so. And I was telling him, I said, aren't you all ashamed of yourselves giving out turkeys and hams at Christmas time? And this man looks at me and he says, well, maybe in your lifetime, but not in mine. And now I'm saying the same thing.
Freddie is trying to transfer to Fox Hill so he can get a turkey and a ham. It's not going to happen, Freddie.
No?
You got to watch you carefully.
Yeah. I have a question, Mr. Mitchell. You spoke about ambition. I know from our a child growing up, when people always ask me, "What do you want to be?" And I always answer the question, I want to be I want to be the Minister of Tourism for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Never wanted to be the Prime Minister. I just want to be the Minister of Tourism for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So my question is, the young people in your constituency, would you be willing to launch a campaign? What's your ambition campaign for the young people in your constituency? A school campaign, and I feel deeply that that would help start the conversation on where the PLP wants to go with young people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say let 1,000 ideas contend in that way. One of the things, of course, though, is when you start programs, you've got to be able to finish them. Younger people get attached very quickly to the figures who intervened in their lives, and there's too much of this. People come, intervene for a day, make a good speech, and then disappear. You need to have the continuity. You need to have the money, because it's a lot of money to do so. So certainly, I mean, if someone's willing to design a program, I'd certainly support it, because too often you ask them what they want to do and they have no clue. Particularly, P.J. Patterson now is trying to push the CARICOM region into making sure that there's a sufficient investment in culture and sports and culture, because those are the new horizons. He makes the point that Bob Marley's estate is the third highest earner of royalties in the world after Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. And that's from Bob Marley's music. So he's saying, music is something, and culture is something that is intangible, but we can certainly use the intellectual property rights and make tremendous amount of money. And then, of course, sports. I mean, Bolt in his two legs, 20 million US last year. So it's possible in our own examples, Michael Thompson, his son, Clay, Rick Fox, Buddy Hield, all of which, using sports to parlay themselves into a living. So I think that it's done. It's possible. You can inspire young people by example and contact. There are two coaches I know now, Ken Woolery down at Exuma, and Coach Bowles at Doris Johnson, and the support which the kids give these coaches. I mean, it's almost fanatical support, and it's because they're engaged with their lives.
You must get very fatigued at some point of the month or the week when you face the reality that there's so much work to be done. There's so much work not being done. There's so much people who are responsible for doing certain things who don't do it. And you see things not slipping away but not happening. How does Fred Audley Mitchell ensure that he not only does that which is expected of him, but he stands in the gap to make sure those other things that other persons are deficient in, what they ought to be doing, are happening?
PM often makes a criticism of me that I'm, I guess the word is laconic in some things. And that's because to me, and perhaps this is a fault, I mean, intellectually I dismiss things very quickly if it's nonsensical to me. And so I won't engage it.
We used to say in the early days that here comes Fred, he doesn't suffer fools easily, so stay quiet. That's sensible to say.
But I think that what I've tried to do is quiet counsel behind the scenes to encourage people to various things. And I do believe that it's important to show public support for people who are your allies and friends. For example, Jerome Fitzgerald did a registration drive. I mean, tremendous organization, really well organized. And I was pleased to see that all of the people in the East, or largely all of the members of the Parliament in the East, showed up and, lent their support to it. And I think that has to be seen. And I always try, when I'm in public and people see members of the Progressive Liberal Party, that the country has to see that we actually get along. and we actually support one another, notwithstanding any differences which may exist behind closed doors. In the public forum, we ought to be seen to be supporting one another, and that's what I try to do.
Going back on the culture point, there was an occasion recently where I read something from PM where he was speaking to it had to be a Caribbean forum, and he talked about people like Rihanna and Bolt and Wally and those who had done very well, and missing from that page was a Bahamian.
Well, Sidney Poitier is usually his starting point.
Starting point.
Yeah.
But that's going.
Yeah, but I mean, he's because Sidney's going to his 89th birthday is on the 20th of February.
20th February.
So we're doing the films this week.
Sorry, that wonderful salute to Sidney. Do you think the rest of the Caribbean, Rihanna,
Beyonce, she's some Bahamian too. She has Bahamian in her.
Beyonce, Rihanna,
Nicki
Minaj, Billy Ocean, Bob Marley, the whole Jamaican plethora of artists. Have they been able to achieve internationally their base because they were intertwined in Caribbean integration? They understood exactly where they were in their island nation and how far removed they were from the first world. And have we been dispossessed or disadvantaged because we have always seen ourselves in our proximity to the U.S. as having already arrived, and we listen to the American music, we tap into the American culture, and we fool ourselves that that is us and it's not us? Is that the reason why these other people have done so well?
Well, I mean, this is a Pax Americana, the whole region, the whole hemisphere, so everybody's influenced by them. Mm-hmm. Some would argue that, reggae is actually a derivative of Black American gospel music, from its roots. So, I mean, but, the success is actually, in many instances, a matter of luck. Opportunity and luck, hard work. So I think there's, as I say, we in the athletic field, we certainly have the success, but you have to go back and you see Joseph Spence, tremendously successful. Bird Williams, tremendously successful. Sidney Poitier, tremendously successful. And then you have our athletes today who have succeeded. And, P.J. Patterson makes the point to Prime Minister Christie all the time, just how does a small country like this produce the level of talent and quality that it has? That's an amazing story. What we want to do is to make sure that is replicated, that individuals feel that they can make a success of their own lives. We have a young pianist now. His name is Dion Cunningham. He did a recital, 2 Sundays ago, on his way. He's a year and a half away from his PhD, struggling to find resources to pay. Perhaps we should just pay for it and just be done with it. But, the struggle is part of the success. But one of the things he did as a give back was he had 2 recitals for youngsters to hear what he does, to hear his vision of how music can open up your horizons. And I spoke to some of the kids at Doris Johnson yesterday, and they were just enthralled by having the opportunity to go and see that, because it enlivened their own ambitions. And look at this. The Anglican Church right now has a problem finding organists. And, every Anglican church pays their organist to play. So someone who wants to go into music can actually make a living by being an organist if you learn your music and your craft properly. So there are all sorts of opportunities. It doesn't have to be the Bob Marley and so on and so forth.
You don't have to apply for a job at Visage.
Or even that, because I'm sure Visage is sometimes looking for new musicians, singers. I say when we did the Freddie Munnings concert, one of the points I made was how we political parties rely on musicians to set the mood, to mobilize people. Even down to singing the national anthem. Yeah. And what do? last minute we say, oh, we don't have anybody to sing the national anthem, so we better call so-and-so. And you expect them to come at the last minute, stand up. Sometimes the public address system isn't working properly. You promise to pay them. You never pay them. They got to be running after you to get their money and so on and so forth. So all of these things we have to fix because they are opportunities for our people. And I was glad that Dion, had the opportunity to speak so they could see a real live human being that's behaving like them, that went through the same system like them, and they can say, I can do that.
Are you embarrassed sometimes because we as a people don't seem to be ready for simple things that we do every year on the same day? When it comes to pulling the wire, pulling the tape, ringing the bell, there's something missing. And someone who's in charge is walking around, wringing their hands, looking up into the heavens and saying, I thought you were going to do that.
Yeah, time and planning is a problem, but,
how do we fix that?
Education. It's education and education. I mean, there's not a high premium on time as a value here. But, I just give this example. I saw one of the youngsters in my constituency said that he wanted a job at the prison. The prison was doing a recruitment exercise last year, and the deadline was, let's say, December 10th. I'm just pulling that out of the hat. I said to him, okay, fine. I would support the application, but you have to get the application in by tomorrow. That's the deadline. If you don't get it in tomorrow, dead in the water. So I heard nothing. I got a call yesterday. He says, I put that application in. I just put that application in. So I said, well, what do you expect to happen, though? Because the deadline is long past. And he said, but the idea, of course, is because I'm the minister, I'm supposed to be able to circumvent the deadline.
With the greatest respects, Minister, you are absolutely wrong. You did tell the gentleman tomorrow, and tomorrow is the 13th month of the year.
I got to remember that.
Tell me, if you were to chronicle what has been the successes of the government in terms of those things which are transforming the Bahamas, those things which are going to reap mass benefits for the citizenry in the long range. Because we have this overshadow of what's happening at Bama, and then we got these jackasses who are caught up in a dormitory burning down, as contrasted with 200,000 plus acres at Bamsey that are fertile and producing on a daily basis. If you were to chronicle for us the successes of the government in the last 3 years, where would you begin? Where would you end?
Well, I found the performance of the member for Churchill last week just remarkable because, you say to yourself, there are none so blind as those who will not see. I thought Jerome Fitzgerald did an excellent job in responding to it because, from the time my first job when I came home from university was the producer for the Ministry of Agriculture's program called the Primary Producers. It was an extension program. I was a radio producer at the time. And that took me around the country looking at farming as an issue. And we've been struggling with this question of what to do with farming. We know it can be done because Edison Key had a huge cucumber farm which used to export cucumbers to Florida. We know that the citrus farm, B.G. Harmon, existed. We know that sugarcane grew in Abaco. Sir Charles Dundas, after whom the Dundas Center for Performing Arts is named, when he was the colonial secretary, had a study done on agriculture in the Bahamas. It told us what we could do. The model hasn't changed, but we've never quite been able to get it done. But I think you can't stop. And the Prime Minister, he went down, spoke to the people in Trinidad at the University of the West Indies, and they didn't believe that we were actually going to do it. And it's done. Now the process, just like national health insurance, it's uneven, it's not smooth and all the rest of it. But believe me, in this society, if you don't get started, if you start thinking about blueprints and plans and so on and so forth, we'll be here till the 12th of never waiting on the blueprints and plans.
Correct.
You may as well get started and get it, fleshed out as it goes. And so that's the story of Bamsey. That was a story with the heavy lifting done on getting the local gaming industry regulated, and that's now done. Immigration, I think, has been a boon for us, broadly supported. A lot of more work needs to be done because there are divisions in the society about how strenuous you ought to be in going after the law on this point. But the fact is, all these things have begun. But the larger issue, I hope, is that there's now a sense of national pride, because that's the ethos that the PLP stands for, is the national pride of the country is back. That, this is the Bahamas. This is something that we fight for. We are the people who run the country. We should have the commanding heights of the country. And that, I hope, is back. And I think going back to the FNM would destroy that ethos again, that sense of national pride, which we now have.
And the world wishes to see continuity, and for programs to be suspended, we go back to stop, cancelled, and review. An organization that's saying that has its own difficulties will create a major malady for the whole country. I want to go back to something that's happening in immigration. And I see Minister Mitchell is looking at his watch. It is Tuesday morning. I mean, what happens on Tuesday?
Yeah.
I am getting I'm sensing a germ coming out of the conversation and the discourse that is emerging out of the Memories Grand Bahama incident. And in one way of reading it, it's coming across as if you're here in the Bahamas, you on a work permit or on some status of immigration, when you encounter a Bahamian, you need to know your place. I'm not sure if that is what you're trying to impart. I'm not sure if you're imparting on those conditions. Yes, you need to know your place, but that doesn't give the Bahamian any right to disrespect, to disregard, or to carry on as if I don't have to listen to my boss. I don't have to carry through with the plans that are going on. Because we tend to always look for the easy way out and to find that troubling gray area to escape responsibility.
Yeah, we have to be very careful about that. But immigration doesn't do its own investigations. These investigations into these complaints of abuse and all the rest are really conducted by the Ministry of Labor, because they're the organization that's equipped to deal with trade disputes of that nature. And I agree with you. You have to be very careful. But what I found is that while people are concentrating on the bottom end, that is, people who come from the south of us, and the issues which are connected with that, there are people who come through the front door using their passports and a legitimate stamp to get in. And then they get here, they like the place, but they don't like the people who are here. And they would rather us find some way to exclude us from being in the Bahamas, and that becomes a problem.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that does become a problem. But there's this other thing too, Minister, where on every public bus stop, there's this comment, "Oh, the Chinese taking over." Where it is very easy in our culture for xenophobia to rise to frightening levels, and where we have this overabundance of misinformation, where any fool can call a talk show and mouth off any riddle of nonsense, and it gets into the pop culture. People repeat nonsense, and speak to that for me, please.
Well, the thing that gets me about that is who's driving that, really? Who's driving that? The oligarchy that Tennyson Wells is talking about. They somehow believe that Chinese capital, but mind you, they don't believe it, because if the Chinese capital came through them, they'd take it in a heartbeat. So the problem is that they believe that their interests are being displaced by Chinese capital. So it's racist in my view. They are playing on the fears of the black population and say, look what's happening here. But the Chinese are not taking over the Bahamas by a long shot. They have no ambitions to take over the Bahamas. Theirs is an investment like everybody else's investment. It comes with its real quirks and sidebars and all the rest of it. But the investment has been good for the country because the sources of capital elsewhere have dried up. So where else are you going to get the capital? And you need foreign direct investment to keep the reserves up, to run the country, to provide work. So I don't have any fears that way.
I was with my co-host Tanya Brown yesterday, and I was telling her about your early days in the PDF. And the slogan the PDF had, which was "May the Force be with you."
We stole that from Star Wars.
And she says, "What? He's a Star Wars aficionado?" I said, "I think so." Yeah. So she's been just sitting here waiting to put the Star Wars question on you.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, good morning, Mr. Mitchell. How are you? Minister Mitchell, how are you?
Great, thank you.
I know you're strapped for time, so I'm going to make this quick, but in your opinion, if you could choose any Star Wars character, and I have done some extensive research that kept me up for the vast majority of the night, because, this series is pretty long, and you need a couple of months to sit down and study it. But if you could choose a character from Star Wars, the original Star Wars, who would you be and why?
I think I'd be a cross between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
I said that. I said that.
Yeah.
And why?
Because I think that Luke Skywalker is actually the character who is the revolutionary, the up and coming young person who is trying to challenge the existing order. I mean, there's a scene when I think it's Yoda. In the last of the three movies, Return of the Jedi. And he's trying to train Luke how to use his powers. And Luke decides, well, he's had enough of this because he has to go on a mission. And Yoda, as he tells him, I'm leaving or I'm gonna go. I have to go. You see Yoda just sort of bow his head and he just sighs, right? And that happens, older people all the time trying to teach younger people, what to do. And at a certain point, the younger person says, well, I've had enough of this and I'm on my way. As far as Darth Vader is concerned, it's the discipline, it's the aggression, it's the I don't take any nonsense kind of thing. And so I think that's what, there's something which excites me about being an insurgent. So, I would say a cross between the two of those people.
Can I please get your best Darth Vader impression?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have failed me for the last time.
Good morning, Bahamas. This is Plain Truth speaking. We're here in the studio, 103.5. We've been joined by Minister Fred Mitchell, Minister of Immigration and Foreign Affairs. Freddie B. at the round table, Tanya Brown. Good morning, Bahamas. We'll be back with you right after these messages.
As I wander through this world, nothing can stop the bell. And you are my girl. No good.
From the Tribune News Network, this is Newsbreak. I'm Kirk Smith. Tuesday's top stories. The management change at BEC is now official. The American company Power Secure is now in control of that company and will be for the next 5 years following the official contract signing yesterday. And there could be job losses in the coming months as a result. Nothing confirmed on this, but a spokesman for the company says there could potentially be a reduction in the workforce in the coming months. He says if that happens, the company will be looking to offer voluntary separation packages to employees with long tenures. Prime Minister Christie denying suggestions that the BEC process was handled secretly. He tells the media that the process was open and transparent. Deputy Prime Minister Davis tells the media that despite the management change, ownership of the company remains in the hands of the Bahamian people. There's a new role for former General Manager Kevin Baisden. He's going to become an advisor to the company, which is now going to be known as Bahamas Power and Light. The executive director of the company is going to be Deepak Bhatnagar, according to an internal memo circulated to employees. The first direct public comments from FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis on the Senator Lanisha Roll controversy. He tells a radio talk show that the senator may have been wrong when she made those recent comments aimed at party MPs, but he says she's young and young people make mistakes. The MPs involved have called for a public apology from the senator, but that hasn't happened. She has apologized in private, according to party officials. This is Newsbreak from the Tribune News Network. Police still have not been able to find escaped prisoner Earlin Williams almost a week after he escaped from a prison bus on the way back to the Foxville prison following a court appearance. Police still not releasing any information on their investigation into how the convicted murderer was able to get out of that bus and escape. They say they're concentrating on recapturing him at this point. Police set to charge at least 5 persons in connection with the murder of that man whose body was found in Bimini recently. The victim is believed to be a man reported as missing by relatives on January 30th. The government apparently listening to private sector concerns about its national health insurance plan, which is now being implemented. The Tribune reporting this morning that numerous revisions to the scheme are coming as a result of the input of doctors. 47 Haitians being brought in for processing. They were picked up by the Defense Force in the area of Ragged Island on Sunday. 20-year-old Ronald Stubbs of Sunshine Park has been formally charged now with rape in connection with the alleged sex attack on a 19-year-old American woman back on January 30th. News details in the Tribune newspaper on the streets right now. News online, Tribune242.com. This is Newsbreak from the Tribune News Network. Now the Tribune's IQ weather update. A service of insurance management, another frontal system is moving through the area. Not much associated weather with it. It will keep the cool air in place, though. Partly sunny and cool today. Highs from the mid-60s to low 80s. 66 at Freeport, 79 in the capital, 81 at Matthewtown. No marine advisories. Winds generally 10 to 15 knots. The sea's 2 to 4 feet. There's a high tide now. The next low around 3 this afternoon. Visibility at 10 miles. Water temperature 74 degrees. The UV index in the moderate range. If you need additional weather information, check the Tribune's weather page. For your insurance needs, call Insurance Management. They are the best. 5 offices around the country make them your most convenient option also. Nobody does it better than Insurance Management. This is Newsbreak from the Tribune News Network.
Start your morning with the Earl The Pearl Show. Plain truth speaking, an opinionated look at national issues. What we are attempting to do here is to build a case. The country expects a decorum, a modicum of decency when it relates to serious debate in the country on political and national affairs. It's the Earl The Pearl Show, another way of looking at the news and the people that make the news. The FBI has been working with law enforcement in the Bahamas for the last 100 years. The FBI lab in terms of ammunition, gun, firearms has been used in court cases in the Bahamas for the last 100 years. This is nothing new, sir. Where have you been? What ostrich are you? If you're going to criticize something, criticize it from a position of information that is useful, not to talk nonsense. Every weekday morning, 7 a.m. until 9, join the Earl The Pearl Plain Truth Speaking Show. And these are the stigmas and the disadvantages that attend to young people. I am an advocate of sorts on the position that we ought not teach young people to hide, to sneak, to have to pretend. We need a society where everything is in the open, it's transparent. With Earlin Williams, Tanya Brown, and Freddie B. It's newsy. Following the trends and empowering young people is what you didn't expect in the morning and what you would enjoy. The Earl The Pearl Show. Every weekday morning, 7 a.m. until 9 on 103.5 FM. Good morning, Bahamas. Good morning, Bahamas. How are you out there? A wonderful Tuesday, February 9th, 2016. This is Plain Truth Speaking, the Earl The Pearl Show. Freddie B at the round table, Tanya Brown, my co-host. Like us on Facebook, Earl The Pearl Show. Listen to us on our website, www.theearlthepearlshow.com. We are delighted to be in your company. Freddie, several things happened yesterday which really, and I'm trying to make sure I have the right amount of tense on this. Did it grind my gears or ground my gears? I went into the web shop to buy my stocks. Mm-hmm. this fella was in the web shop writing out his numbers on the line in front of me. When they got to him and he passed his paper in, and the woman typed in his numbers
Was wrong.
and told him how much his bill was, he then started calling off other numbers. She put those numbers in. Then he started pulling numbers out of his head, and I want this and I want that.
That is so upsetting.
That is just so annoying. People who come into the web shop, they want to buy a number, but they're not satisfied that the 100 numbers on their grocery list is the number they really want to buy. So just as they're about to pay, the spirit hits them, the muse hits them, and they suddenly remember what is going to be the number they need to buy right now. And these are always the 10-cent people.
Yeah.
How do you box a number for 10 cents?
What's a 10-cent person?
A person who is annoying on the web shop line. They're in the web shop trying to pay their rent, trying to pay their car bill, trying to buy their lunch, trying to buy their Valentine basket of a 10-cent number.
10 cents straight.
And box
Oh, they box it?
in the name of hallelujah.
You can box for quarter though.
And then there are these people on the drive-through at restaurants. Nobody in the Bahamas ought to be confused as to what they have at KFC.
Okay.
Is it 2-piece?
I
A
have to
3-piece?
comment.
A 5-piece? A 8-piece? A 15-piece? A
That's
bucket?
it.
People get on the bloody
And they want to read the
highway
menu.
line
And they want to
at
read the
Kentucky.
menu.
And when the woman comes on the mic and says, "Hi, what are you having today?" They go, y'all have? What do you mean if y'all have? Kentucky has been in the Bahamas for the last 2,000 years. Kentucky is... Kentucky,
It's only spicy and original.
And
Man,
barbecue.
y'all have any spicy? Y'all have any? It's and they get on the drive-through line and they're trying to make up their
I
mind.
have a suggestion. Go home and cook.
There
Yeah.
was
That.
Yeah,
there
I
was
know.
there
You
was
just killed
there
it.
was
I
a
know.
pause. There was a pause. There was a pause. You know what I mean? See, Tanya's being very disingenuous.
Hold on.
Here, if this was a woman who went home and cooked, we could take
Hold
her
on.
advice.
Exactly.
Hold
Tanya
on.
hasn't Tanya ain't boiled water for a tea bag.
I
Thank
just
you.
made
In the last 5
lunch
years.
on Saturday. What are you talking about?
She made lunch on
and
Sunday.
then
What
I
did she make?
prepared
Hold on.
Sunday dinner.
Hold on. What did you fix for lunch on Sunday?
I made turkey
Tanya?
burgers on Saturday.
Turkey burgers?
Yeah, I did.
Leave it to Tanya to make a turkey burger.
I will make
this
you a
morning,
turkey burger.
so this morning, what you did is you did turkey bacon for breakfast.
Oh no, I don't eat bacon.
What's a turkey burger?
A turkey burger is ground turkey meat, and then you like cut it up and make little patty shape, season it, put it on the.
So
pan.
you're allergic to hamburger.
No, I'm not allergic to hamburger.
So why do you have to have a turkey burger as opposed to a?
Because it's healthier.
The turkey burger is healthier.
Yeah,
You really feel that way?
yeah, I do.
You see, this is the things which ruins the culture.
We're having a conversation
For
tomorrow.
years and years and years, we knew hamburger. Someone comes along, decides to make some nonsense sandwich on hamburger bread, and call it a burger.
is that a nonsense sandwich?
If you're gonna take your turkey and your chicken and
you're
make it
gonna
a sandwich,
die from high
it is a
cholesterol.
sandwich. It is not a burger. It is a sandwich. A burger is a
clogged
hamburger.
arteries.
Nothing
I
else
refuse to
makes
eat
a
the red
burger
meat.
other than a hamburger.
I refuse to
That's
eat the
not no
red meat.
burger. That's
That's
turkey.
why he's
I
Earl the
refuse-
Pearl right now.
Exactly.
That's why he's got a whole pearl.
I refuse to eat that red meat.
Listen,
Refuse.
Freddie, on those, and then when you walk inside the fast food restaurant and you're on a long line, and finally the person in front of you gets called up to give their order, and then they start looking up on
Looking at the
big
menu.
board,
Oh.
trying to figure out
Oh
amount.
no! You know what really
Jesus,
grinds
that
my
board.
gears? Like, okay, personally, I'm not like a fast food goer per se, unless like I'm
But you're
super
fasting every other
starving.
thing, so
Shut up. But when I go on the food store line, right, and I have like 3 things in my basket because I'm like a binge shopper.
I mean, this is when you
So
go to the
I'll
quality
just-
stamps.
No. Just like when you regularly go in.
Is this your regular quality stamp?
I
then?
usually go in on Sundays and I like get everything, but sometimes you miss a few things, or you go in the cupboard
3
and
things
you're
in
like,
a basket is not everything, Tanya.
Yeah.
I need something. So you go in the store and you get like 3 things, and then there's this person in front of you, and this is the middle of the week, and they are doing what you usually do on Sundays, right?
Another week, yeah.
So they're taking their slow time. They finally
That person
finish
is
checking
me.
out, and oh, they have to go dig in their purse for their wallet. And I hate the people that decide that they need to write checks. And then they can't remember how to spell their name or how much the bill is. What was the bill again? Like, look up. They have digital machines for you to see your total, right? But they have to ask, oh, hey, what's my bill again? So they sit there and they politely write out checks in front of you. And I'm like, I've got 3 things here. Could
Those
you not let
ones
me gone
who
before
say,
you?
those ones who say, can you run that card again, please? It has to be a mistake.
Oh, my gosh. Like, dude, if you don't have enough
you know
money.
what? You know what? It happens. I would not call the bank name, but it happens. For example, if you leave the island, right, you go into the United States,
And they put your account on hold.
you go, and they actually put your account on hold. You know what bank I'm talking about.
do know
They
what
actually
bank
put
you're
your account on hold. So you in Walmart and you're swiping all your decline. I'm sorry, sir. Do you have another card? No. That's my card. I put my money on before I left home. You forgot to call the bank, and I'm like, and I'm looking in the back, and there's like 6 people in the back of me, and I'm like shamed because
It's crazy how you have to let the bank know. Like, you have to check in with the bank like the bank is your dad. When you put your money in the bank for you to spend, not to mention the fact that you're paying to spend your own money. But you got to check in now, too, and
That's
say, well,
interesting.
This
hey.
is not a security measure to make sure your card is not being swiped outside the country. There's so much fraud going on and so
I
much
could
nonsense.
understand with a credit card, but with a debit
Debit
card,
card? Like, why?
like why?
If it's lost, I'm going to call you. I'm going to say, well, hey, listen, could you just
I'm sure the
decline
banks
that
would
for
have a
me?
totally different view. The banks probably get besieged every day with clients with debit cards who say, there's a swipe on my printout that I didn't do. Somebody used it here and there. I think it's a safety
that's
mechanism.
up to the bank to investigate and to find out frauds, right? That's why we're actually paying them all those high interest. They should have a fraud department.
They
but
do.
their problem shouldn't be my problem. I'm in Mexico and I'm swiping my card. Decline. Lucky thing I had another one because decline. I'm like, call the bank. Are you guys going to pay for this phone call?
I would think that they should have some kind of insurance claim for that.
They should have some type
So
of
Tony,
insurance.
you've been embarrassed with Freddie in Mexico like this too. What were
Oh
you guys
no,
doing
no,
in
no,
Mexico?
no! I haven't been to Mexico with Freddie. That
no.
just
You
sounds
didn't do Acapulco or
crazy.
Cancun?
I think Cancun apply to Common. Playa del Carmen is pretty nice.
Yeah, no.
Yes, very
Oh,
romantic.
I haven't been anywhere with
Playa.
Freddie.
This was your Valentine when you were eligible, was it?
Yes.
Because you've been off the market now how many years?
2.
Lucky.
Just walk right into that head on.
Is there any redemption for him, Tanya? Is there some wake up and kick me, turn me around pill that he can
Freddie, I
take?
think Freddie's a lost
The
cause.
listen, the Chinese, the Chinese have all sorts of stimulants. I walked in the Chinese shop and they have Spanish
wow.
mosquito, Spanish roach, Spanish fly, Spanish ant, Spanish bee.
I'm terribly disturbed.
The Chinese
Why?
have everything for real. I can lie. You walking there,
Or
like by the cash register.
so
Are you talking about the Chinese food, like the food
Every
store,
Chinese place.
or like the
If
restaurant?
the food store
Look-
restaurant.
Look
They
at
have
the
the
counter.
they have
Look
the-
under the counter.
They have the stuff right there.
Stop looking only at the shrimp fried rice and the Singapore noodles, Tanya.
They
love
sell them right
Singapore
there.
noodles.
They sell them right there. I'm
I
like,
can't stop looking at them.
You think so, Freddie?
I don't.
I like Italian food.
Ugh. Greece.
Italian.
Not
Italian.
There's a particular restaurant in the West, and they specialize in Italian food, and I have never enjoyed their fettuccine.
Really?
I don't know where they get that concoction from.
Well,
I
firstly,
did
if
it
it's
once.
fettuccine, you wouldn't enjoy fettuccine.
That's not that Mediterranean right there, right?
No, it's
Fettuccine, right?
It's like
Yeah.
the Chinese restaurant. It's like the
Fettuccine.
It's
Fettuccine.
like
I
the
don't
Chinese
want
restaurant
fettuccine. That
on
sounds
Blue Hill
terrible.
Road. Big sign, Chinese restaurant, and you walk inside, and they're no Chinese, and so you say, who's cooking the food? And then someone comes to the back and say, Batali! And I say, wow. I mean, I've no difficulty with my brother and sister and daddy them cooking Chinese food. No problem with that. But
They got good Chinese
we
food,
are we are so xenophobic in our
I
thinking.
love Haitian food. So if they want to make me some Chinese, I don't think it matters.
Did anybody say
Recipes
Haitian?
don't come from.
No. Creole food. It's Creole food.
I don't care. It's Haitian food and it's awesome.
Where do you go to get your Haitian food?
I love me some Jamaican.
Listen, there's this
Where do you go to
lady.
get your Haitian food?
Okay. Do you? Okay. You know that little side cut where the
No, I don't know where any little side cuts are.
Listen,
I
where
stay
the
on the
Super
main
Value
road. I'm a
burns
highwayman.
down on Blue Hill Road. The old
Yeah,
Super Value
yeah.
by Purity
Yeah.
Bakery. Before you get to Purity,
That
there's
was
a
a city
little
market.
side back road, right?
First Street.
I think so.
Yeah.
And there's this lady that sells food.
She was there forever.
Listen, I went there when I previously worked at another place.
People I know go there.
Yeah. This guy, he's like, "Hey, you want to come with me to Mommy's?" I'm like, "Who is Mommy?"
She sold bread too.
Listen, I went to Mommy's and Mommy made me some curry. I went
Nobody
back.
can make curry better than me.
I went back to Mommy's and I was like, "Mommy, I love you." And she's like, "I love you too, baby." I was like, "Listen, I think we could have a really good relationship going right now." And so I went back the following day. I think I got some
So
like
curry is your weakness.
curry is my
Curry will
weakness.
get you in a hurry.
What? I went back and I got
You heard it,
some
fellas.
mutton.
I bet
Is it
not
curry
cook curry
good?
for you.
Now, is this
No.
mutton or curry chicken? What type of meat you want in your
the
curry?
curry was chicken. I went back and I got like this mutton situation, and I'm not big on mutton because mutton is red meat. But, again, divine.
You cheated.
I cheated
Oh.
on myself, on my soul, on my cholesterol. I just cheated on my arteries, and
So sad.
I felt so good about it.
You did. That's sad though.
You know that's what really grinds my gears. You go into business place, and there's the clerk standing there looking very nonchalant, and you say, "Amar, excuse me, Amar, I'm looking for size 11 or extra large in this," and the clerk goes,
Well, Earl,
They don't
firstly,
have
why
that.
are you looking for an extra large? That's not your size.
"I'm so glad you
3X.
paid me compliments. I'm so glad you complimented me on how I'm losing weight. I'm slimming down."
That's our topic
those
tomorrow,
days,
actually.
those days in the
That's the topic
gym,
tomorrow.
those
I need
mornings
to
in the
lose
gym are paying off.
30 pounds.
Come on, rub the abs.
No,
Rub
ew,
the abs. You
that's
feel
a
good about
pearl.
it.
That is not a swashboard. It is a pearl.
You're in the shop and the clerk says, "They don't sell that." So I said, "Oh, you don't work here?" "What do you mean they don't?" People who work for a business and don't associate themselves with the business. They have this standoffish attitude as if,
They don't want to
"I am only here because I have nothing else to do. And I don't care if this business doesn't make $1 for the day. It doesn't make no difference. They better just have my pay on Friday."
and in a week.
That just kills me because it means that you're not going to get the service that you think you're going to get. Those things grind my gears.
I hate it.
Well, what really grinds my gears is when people feel the need to look back at, okay, yesterday Earlin and I went to a government facility, right? This gentleman walks past us and then he comes back and he says, "Oh, I just wanted to see if you were my school face." And I mean, he's like in our faces. And I'm just like, dude, you literally just left the building. Did you really have to come
Turn
back
back.
to see if you knew us so that you could have a whole conversation? Don't you have places to go? So that really grinds my gears. What grinds your gears, Freddie?
Women, when they're driving in the morning, putting on their makeup and fixing their hair and then slamming the stupid brakes in the front of me like this morning. Let me tell you something, car number 27. Anyway, never mind. Listen. Wait,
What's
listen,
that car number?
Listen.
What's
Ladies.
the car number, Freddie?
No,
27?
No.
Hold on.
Ladies.
Is that a blue Honda?
Please.
Is that a blue? What color is that car?
No, it was a gray Nissan, some Japanese thing.
I left her home. I told her not to go out this morning until I came.
That's why.
She's on the road early as that. She's
On the
texts
road.
me when I get home.
See? Sweetheartism. That's a new word for us this morning. Sweetheartism.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure Minister Mitchell is probably like, what are they talking about? Sweetheartism.
But
we
seriously,
left
on
him
Monicue.
with
It was
such
on Facebook.
serious facts. Then we come here to talk about sweetheartism. Why were you out east?
Yeah, you don't live in that area, Freddie.
Why
What
were
doing
you out
these?
east?
Some wise man came from these.
Were you out there looking for a Valentine?
Okay, so when Minister Mitchell was here, right?
Darth Vader /
Yeah.
Good morning, Bahamas.
Solo.
This is the Earl The Pearl Show. Like us on Facebook, the Earl The Pearl Show.
Love it.
Visit us on our website,
Love it.
earlthepearlshow.com. We are having a wonderful morning. It is Tuesday, the 9th day of February. We're counting down to Valentine's.
Valentine's.
We are waiting our next guest in studio. We're going to take a break and be right back
And
with
Ash
you.
Wednesday.
Good morning.
Do you know where Marrow Lane and Garden Hills is? Yep, thought you didn't. Well, it's right off East Street by Lil Gerald's. And that's where you'll find the all-new C&M South House. Open just in time for the holidays. With lots of Junkanoo specials and Happy New Year discounts from 7:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night. It's South all day at C&M South House. Chicken, fish, sheep tongue, ribs, you name it, they got it. C&M South House. Call now for more info at 449-8155 or 455-3186. Thinking about getting a tummy tuck or liposuction? Well, why spend all that money when you can go to Mystical Fitness Gym and get the same results the right and safe way without any side effects? At Mystical Fitness Gym, they have certified professional trainers to work with you and help you achieve the results you want. They provide you with a meal plan along with the proper supplements to assist you on your way to a healthier, happier, long life. Mystical Fitness Gym, located on Patton Street in Palmdale. Go in or call today for a free one-day pass at 325-4111 or 325-4116.
A tradition continues at Bahamas Sheet Metal, known for quality metalwork, air conditioning, and commercial kitchens all across the Bahamas. Cowbells and other creative metal products is their specialty. And now, for entrepreneurs, have them make a custom-made hot dog cart. There are two basic styles. For just $1,200, you can get the basic hot dog stand, or for $3,000, you can get the hot dog and burger grill stand, or get yourself a full kitchen van conversion. Get started in your own business today with the help of Bahamas Sheet Metal. Call Bruce Newell on his cell and get started right away at 469093. That's 469093. Rodney Munker, well-known activist in the country, has a radio show.
I am ready to bear the responsibility in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will fall on me to ensure
Uniquely Rodney.
every promise that he made be lived up to.
Join Rodney right here on 103.5 FM for Freedom March.
But a Negro PLP will make Rob and cheer to lift me across my head.
Freedom March. His own expression, his own words, his own radio show.
And he said, no, look at him. So prevented the woman from licking me with the foot. I was young.
Here on ZSR 103.5 FM.
Can't be the nature wrong. I'm looking for citizens that I could around with. Politically, we could around the issue.
Join Rodney Munker for Freedom March.
If you can, if you commit murder, you're going to win.
His radio show. Rodney Munker's radio show, Freedom March, heard here on Sports Radio 103, ZSR 103.5 FM, every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. A tradition continues at Bahamas Sheet Metal, known for quality metalwork, air conditioning, and commercial kitchens all across the Bahamas. Cowbells and other creative metal products is their specialty. And now, for entrepreneurs, have them make a custom-made hot dog cart. There are two basic styles. For just $1,200, you can get the basic hot dog stand, or for $3,000, you can get the hot dog and burger grill stand, or get yourself a full kitchen van conversion. Get started in your own business today with the help of Bahamas Sheet Metal. Call Bruce Newell on his cell and get started right away at 469093. That's 469093. Sports Radio 103 invites you to turn your radio up every morning to the one fun place on the dial. 103.5 FM. It's the Sports Guy, Marcellus Hall, chatting it up with sports fans from all over the island.
I got a call coming in. Let's go right to the line. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marcellus. Hey, morning, Marcellus. Morning, Marcellus. Good morning to everybody this morning. This is Marcellus.
Good morning, Marcellus. Nice to
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Finally, Marcellus.
There's nothing like the armchair quarterback or the coach in the stands, measuring width with Marcellus Hall every morning.
What's wrong with these folks? It's fun. It's your patriotic. How can I wear this trick you? I can't trick you.
For a real fun time in the morning without all the stress of life.
You heard that? That was a pin.
That was a pin drop like a hit.
Jerry Marcellus Hall, the sports guy.
This is when you'll know if you really got a team, because now you're facing adversity for the first time.
Sports talk.
What they want to. Garrett Hunt, 17 carries, 72 yards. Last night, 112 to 103.
Opinions and more. Marcellus Hall, the voice of sports in the Bahamas.
The best station is right now in the Bahamas, the most famous station in the Bahamas, man.
Here on Sports Radio 103, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. People like that. CSR 103.5 FM.
As I wander through this world, nothing can stop the girl. And you are my girl.
Morning, Bahamas. How are you out there? This is Plain Truth speaking, the Duke of Earlin in the house. So happy to be with you. I just got a text. I just got a text from a very, very disgruntled, very disturbed F&M supporter. And they are demanding that I ask this question of their honorable leader, Dr. Hubert Minnis. And the question is, it is a question for Dr. Minnis. What does Lanisha Roll have that Heather Hunt does not? This is a question they're asking me to ask Dr. Minnis. What does Lanisha Roll have, Dr. Minnis, that Heather Hunt does not?
I smell
Heather Hunt, as you remember, carried the F&M banner in the Marathon constituency in the last general election. She went to the last F&M leadership convention. She took a particular side which Dr. Minnis did not find amusing. And shortly after that convention, Heather Hunt found herself senatorless. How to turn the blue plate in. Game come. Poor Heather Hunt, kicked to the curb for demonstrating a democratic free will in her organization. And then along comes a new senator, Lanisha Lady Sorrell. And Dr. Minnis is quoted in the media this morning as saying that it's all kissy, makeup, and Lanisha is forgiven. She made a mistake. She should not have called out her MPs. She should not have embarrassed the organization as she did when she spoke so ill about the political future of the sitting elected F&M MPs. She should not have called her colleagues, termed them as being jealous of Dr. Minnis. But Dr. Minnis says, Senator Roll, Lanisha Lady Sorrell is forgiven. She's a young person who made a mistake. He says the organization is always trying to attract new people to its ranks, and when they make these mistakes, you have to just look away and forgive them. And so the question is, what does Lanisha Roll have that Heather Hunt does not? This is the question F&Ms want me to put to Dr. Minnis. We've been joined at the round table now by Elcott Colby, Freddie B is at the table, Tanya Brown, my co-host. I'm not going to ask Freddie or Tanya to answer that question for. It's a question for Dr.
No, but I want to comment on it.
You're not going to comment on it. You're not going to comment on it. We're going to wait tomorrow to see if we get an answer from the honorable leader, Dr. Minnis. And the question is again, since Lanisha Roll is now forgiven by her leader. He says, yes, she made a mistake. She should not have done what she did. She should not have taken her stilettos.
I didn't know she said anything to upset her leader.
She should not have taken her stilettos. She should not have taken her stilettos and walked all over Loretta, walked all over Nico Grant.
How do you walk all over Loretta?
Walked all over Richard Lightman. That's all forgiven. All kissy in the house.
Why she didn't get slapped though?
Heather Hunt, who went on the front line for organization. Who spent her money?
You know how much energy?
Who put her name on a ballot for organization? She gets kicked to the curb. There's no forgiveness for Heather Hunt. There's no comeback for Heather Hunt. Heather Hunt is told, bye-bye. There's no room for you. And so the question is to Dr. Minnis, what does Lanisha Roll have that Heather Hunt does not.
There's room at the cross for you, Heather Hunt. Come.
At the cross, where I first saw the light.
Heather, come to Bethel, Heather. Come to Bethel.
So
come to
anyway,
Bethel.
now we have Mr. Elcott Colby in studio.
So, one thing I'm noticing about Mr. Colby, and I'm not picking on bald guys, right? But
So you are picking on bald guys.
no. I'm bald myself, right? So
Choice though.
I was one asking me,
Mr. Colby.
Hey.
why do you men lose your hair so quickly? I have a full
Yeah.
head of lettuce hair.
Actually, Earl looks
Listen.
like he could be on a Just for Men box. Yeah, he does.
No, but he needs to use
Listen,
the dye because you have a lot of gray.
Yeah.
you have a lot of gray.
He needs one every week. So
I'm trying to find it for Mr. Colby, right? Why not just bald all off? Just
Why not-
take it, just bald it.
Yeah.
Just bald, just cut it all off. Why not, Mr. Colby?
Yeah, because I'm still struggling with shaving daily and cutting my hair regularly. Throughout my life, I have never shaved regularly or cut my hair regularly. I have to be shamed into going to the barber, and I have to be shamed into cutting my hair. Right now, I'm being told I need to trim my mustache.
mustache.
Excuse me, whiskers.
Whiskers, yeah.
There you go.
But Mr. Colby, why though?
I don't know. It's habit. I have to get into the habit. My dad religiously got up every morning, and a part of his routine, he shaved. I could never get into the habit.
Would you wear a toupee?
No.
I don't think it
Freddie,
would suit Mr. Colby.
is your hair naturally bald, or is that a result of an accident?
Generations upon generations upon generation upon generation. I came from a lineage of bald men. Everybody was just bald.
Yeah, so that was intentional.
So,
then.
how long ago did you start losing your hair?
I was about 22.
Are there any horror pictures of you when you had hair on your head?
Yeah.
Or where do you keep those hidden?
My mom had.
Oh, leave it to Mama. Oh, bless her, bless her wonderful heart.
God.
Mama would hold it. Don't show them to anybody, Freddie.
Mommy,
They must
no.
be horrific.
And Earl, I don't know why you're trying to look at my edges, because honestly, these are mine. I grew them. This is not a lace front, and I'm not going bald like Freddie at 22.
I thought
I was on the jitney. I was on the jitney.
It's not late.
I was on the jitney 2 mornings ago, after I left the show, and I swear there was a lady sitting in front of me, and her wave was being held up by chewing gum.
What?
Oh,
I think she must have run out of glue. Chewing gum can hold up anything, and I can smell
you
it.
just have to.
It's those
Bubble gum.
fruity
The
gum.
ones that lose taste in 5 seconds?
No taste in 5 seconds,
Okay.
but they have great adhesive capabilities, because
Okay.
that wave was holding on, but you could see the little gum stretching in the back. What do you do about the edges? What do women do when they find the edges going and the hair is receding? I mean, you're not going to use chewing gum, are you? Are you into the Duco cement?
I mean, I think you would use.
You put glue in your hair.
You would use. This is.
You expect for the
sewn in,
eat out.
So. But I mean, I think that you would use the chewing gum and/or glue to keep the extensions in, because your natural hair is braided underneath this. Keep that in mind, and when your edges start to go, that's a result of constant pulling on the hair from the edges a lot.
So it isn't hereditary.
No, I mean, I don't know if it's hereditary. For some people, I know that there is a disease where women lose some, like they have little patches of hair and little bald spots, and that's okay. But I mean, when you intentionally pulling on your hair, and the end
Cosmetology 101, ladies and gentlemen.
is your edges being
What type of wig would you get for Freddie? A Paul McCartney Beatles wig?
I want a Donald Trump
Jackie
wig.
Chan
A Donald
Chinese
Trump.
wig,
Donald Trump.
or you same with those with
Donald.
Bob Marley plaits.
well, he says
I
he
had
wants
them
the
too.
Donald. I give him a Jeb Bush cut.
What? Low energy.
Right, you don't need
Low
any
energy.
anymore.
Low energy. Guys, he's a low energy candidate.
But
He
tell
has
me,
just as much charisma as Dr. Minnis, though.
But he find that charisma in his wife with him for 40 years. The only person.
is there any way?
See, that's charisma.
Is there any great chemical attribute or physical attribute that people who start balding have? Because I'm told that when you start losing something one place, you gain it the other place. You guys who lose your hair, you women who lose your edges, do you grow more hair under your arm?
I don't know where you're going with that statement, but there are a couple bald guys that I find to be very attractive.
Like me?
No, terribly no.
Why not?
He's German. I'm trying to remember his name.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the thing with Bahamian
The
women.
tall,
You guys go to
caramel
Germany
skin.
and you have this dude right across the table though.
Gorgeous man. He's an actor. I think he was in
I object.
Best Man. He's actually in a couple movies.
Turn that mic off. I
He's
object.
absolutely gorgeous with his bald head.
Has he seen you through the TV yet and waved and said, "Hi, Tanya"?
No, but
I know
he's
you're
winked a
watching
couple
me."
times through the TV, and I almost died.
Women and
ask me to be a Valentine.
their fantasies. It is
tell
just
you.
absolutely incredible. Women and their fantasies. It only happens in the Bahamas. Good morning, Bahamas. This is the Earl The Pearl Show. This is Plain Truth speaking. We're joined at the table now by the ever serious Alcott Colby. Mr. Colby, it's Cabinet Day in the Bahamas. We were joined early this morning by the Honorable Frederick Audley Mitchell, who spoke very eloquently and, as usually, acquitted himself as expected on a wide range of table topics. What is going on with national health insurance? What is going on with this new argument that seems to be surfacing on this nonsense on BAMSI?
But I don't understand what the argument is on BAMSI. Is Dr. Andre Rollins saying that the only person who should have gotten the contract was a person that he approved?
I can't remember who was the German philosopher who said it, but it says his ignorance seems to widen with everything he reads.
I don't understand the complaint about the contracts, because unless the people who are complaining because their people didn't get the contract. That's all it could be.
We as a black people, we are always subjected to this phenomena where we are told that we are thieves and we are crooks and we are rogues. And so one of the easiest way to spin a negative conversation and to create negativity towards something which is positive is to start talking about who got a contract, who was awarded it, and what is its value. Because black people have been conditioned to think
Willie Lynch, yeah.
they don't deserve it to begin with. Someone else is going to get it beyond what is there, and people play into this. And you would have expected that a young professional like Rollins would walk away from that type of dispatch. That is something that went on 100 years ago when Uncle Tormund was popular. You don't expect that from the new wave 21st century leader who's going to fan the flames of an old economic hatred, an old economic dispassion.
But suppose that is the only.
That is all he has.
No, that's the strategy of his organization.
So questions. If it's Uncle Tomming for white people, is it Uncle Changing for the Chinese now then? Because I don't really get what all this racist foolishness is about. Does it matter the color of the skin of the money that you receive?
Okay, let me explain it to you.
The skin color of the person from the money you receive?
Let me explain it to you. You understand the Willie Lynch phenomenon, right?
To some extent, yeah.
Right, and it was designed for black people to not trust each other and to denigrate black people as being shiftless, lazy, dishonest.
Okay.
Thieves, right?
All right.
What the FNM has done was take the same Willie Lynch strategy and put it on the PLV. So no matter what the PLV does, the FNM keeps saying, where the money? Someone thieving the money. And they keep fanning the flame. That's what Dr. Wallace is doing. The FNM is doing that from 1972, and they haven't stopped. Even when the Public Accounts Committee met, they issued $7 million to repair 700 homes, and 4 homes were in question. And so you're looking at 98%. What the media did, what the FNM did, was ignore the 98% and zero in on those 4 homes. Forget the 696 homes that were done satisfactorily. There were some questions on 4 homes, and they zero in on that 1%, that 0.5%, and they jump on the table and they just keep fanning the
keep
flame.
asking who took the cookies out the cookie jar. Do you remember that?
That is the nonsense that has pervaded
like elementary school.
But it plays into something that has been ingrained into us, ingrained into our grandparents and their parents before them, that black people cannot be trusted with money. And so that is why black people ought to find a job. Their money should come to them in an envelope. On the envelope should be their name. Under their name should be the amount they are paid. In the envelope should also be a slip saying this is the date where you're being paid this. Because you can't be trusted to earn any money any other place. You're not supposed to own a cash register and what goes into it. You're not supposed to own a business. Those are reserved for some other people of another hue, of another nationality. And when you think you smell yourself, and then you think you are deserving of something, then there's a problem. And so when government comes along as the major employer and the major business developer in the country, and government decides that contracts have to be given to create something, the easiest way to cause the problem and to cause distrust and mistrust is to fan the flames of who got it. But someone has to get it.
I think so. That's why
you have these very transparent bidding processes. You have these very, very transparent contract processes. But yet some nigger, some Tom is going to come behind and raise a hue and a cry and say that somebody thieving something. Somebody got something. Mm-hmm. And then because Johnny ain't get the contract, and Billy ain't get the contract, and Harry ain't get the contract, and Sally ain't get the contract, they're going to pick up the chicken feed and repeat the nonsense. Right. And all we do is we diminish ourselves. We only diminish ourselves. We don't grow as a people when we do that. We don't grow as a country when we do that. Let me tell you something, Bahamas. You cannot become individually successful if you hate and abhor the success of your neighbor. Success is universal. It is uniform. If you hate me for my success, you will never get success. Mr. Colby, let's go to the government information this morning, please.
Okay, I just want to advise all and sundry who are listening that the NHI Secretariat held 2 town hall meetings in Grand Bahama last week. They characterized them as successful. One in Freeport and one in McLean's Town, at the community center in McLean's Town, and at the BUT Hall in Freeport. The town hall meeting scheduled for this week was Nassau and 8 Mile Rock and West End this week. In Nassau, it's the BCPOU Hall on Farrington Road, Thursday evening at 7 p.m. And on Friday, it'll be in 8 Mile Rock and West End. I think in West End it's going to be at the Magdalene Hall.
St. Mary Magdalene Church Hall.
Mary Magdalene. Okay, going on to BEC. So the contract was signed yesterday. So Power Secure fully takes over. They have a new managing director. Kevin Basin is no longer general manager, as you know. It's no longer BEC. It's now Bahamas Power and Light.
So does it mean that what I owe BEC is now written off, and I begin getting a whole new bill for Bahamas Power and Light?
It was all transferred. I'm sorry. They transferred it.
What type of concessions are the government giving me, the consumer, for allowing this transfer to take place? There ought to be something in the package for the consumer.
Well, what's in the package for the consumer is the business plan, which is to reduce the cost of electricity by 30% over 24 months, and they intend to do so by accessing Crown land to build solar plants. They're going into solar energy also.
Explain it to me, because there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding out there in the general public, where the private homeowner, the private business owner, has been investing in his own solar setup, and he's basically being told that he can no longer do that. What's the misinformation or the correctness in this?
No, the bill actually, the bill actually allows them, if they are producing excessive electricity, they could sell or what they call net metering or reverse metering. So if you're using 100 kilowatt hours and you produce 150, you can sell the 50 kilowatt hours back to BEC. But there's no cash transfer. They just credit your account the cash value of 50 kilowatt hours.
So I can actually go tomorrow and get my 2 washing tubs and build my own solar panels, and it's not a problem.
Right. Yeah. There's law that allows for that to take place.
Because everywhere I turn, there's this misinformation that this new company is coming, you can no longer get your solar power. That's over and done with.
No,
I'm glad you're speaking to that this morning.
Right. The law is clear on it.
And we're looking at this promise from BPL that there's going to be a 24 months there's going to be this, what percentage reduction in the
30%.
This would be a wonderful achievement of the government, and this will be a wonderful achievement for industrial Bahamas. One of the high cost items in the Bahamas is energy. And we are basically, in the region, we are priced way out there. And so to bring about this revolution in the pricing, and tell us more about this advancement in this crown land and this solar energy and these solar new power sources BPL is going after, so the country could feel it and be a part of what's going on.
Well, the law provide them the opportunity to raise several $100 million. I think about $400 million through a bond issue. And that money is to be used to construct new and more efficient power plants. In addition to new and more efficient power plants that will drive down the operating costs, they expect to add to the mix solar energy. We don't know yet where the solar plants will be, whether it'll be confined to only New Providence or New Providence and the Family Islands. But it's a combination of using traditional fuel-driven generators and alternative, which is which is solar. I know that we deliver several tons of waste to the landfill, and a significant percentage of that as carbon footprints. And so, with that being the case, once they separate all the items, and there's a company that is doing that now, they're recycling metals and other salvageable components of the base, but the ones with the carbon footprints could be used as a form of alternative energy and could potentially produce as much as 5% of the demand of the Bahamas. So you would have, let's say, you use natural gas instead of the heavy fuel oil and the diesel that are more expensive. So let's say you go with natural gas, which is cleaner for the environment too, and you combine that with solar. If possible, you add in a wind component. So you get solar, wind, natural gas, and you have biomass. So you take the base, all of our garbage that have carbon footprints, and you can you can atomize that, vaporize that, and actually generate electricity that could go into the common national grid.
Tanya, what price are you going to put on your garbage that you're going to sell to BPL to create this new energy source? Do you generate 2 bags a week, 3 bags a week? How much garbage do you generate?
Well, I live in a 2-person household, and because I'm always with you and never at home, I guess you will only have like $1 worth of trash.
Yeah, but women usually buy things that come in boxes.
Oh Lord!
Oh, I didn't tell you. What the Deputy Prime Minister said was that both the government and Power Secure are sensitive about job losses, and in the foreseeable future, they don't see any job losses. The first change, of course, was Mr. Kevin Basin was out as the general manager, because when Power Secure took over, the new executive director was Deepak Bhatnagar. So he's now in charge. So Mr. Kevin,
Indian.
Huh?
Indian.
Bhatnagar, yeah, Indian, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So
Are they going to throw a very, very big goodbye party for Mr. Basin?
I don't know, most but he hasn't left.
Oh, he hasn't left.
No,
he's not long in that position.
Right.
They still have a party.
Yeah, he is an advisor. He has the position that he is to Mr. Bhatnagar what Dr. Walter Medalist to the Prime Minister. He's a senior advisor to the man. Right.
It's a wonderful, wonderful transformation.
No, they didn't just kick him out. They kept him on.
And now, what type of assurance is BPL giving us as regards to the constant blackouts and shutdowns and load shedding? Are we going to see the end of that as well?
That promises to be the case as they introduce new power plants, more efficient power plants.
Tanya, in 24 months, they are guaranteeing a 30% reduction in electricity costs. What do you intend to do with your savings, your electricity bill savings in 24 months? Where are you going to spend your rebate check? Are you going to rush out and get those edges fixed? Are you going to
hold on? Don't jump on these edges.
Are you, Freddie? You can finally get a. What type of wig should Freddie get? I think
Donald Trump too.
Donald Trump? Freddie, it wouldn't go at your eyebrows. Tanya, what are you going to spend your rebate check on from BC from BPL when this light bill goes down 30%?
When this light bill goes down 30%, I think I'm going to spend my rebate check on coffee. Because although the power can now continue to go, now I got to stay up. See, when we have blackouts, I could just sleep. So now I have no reason to just take a random nap. So I'm gonna buy coffee.
You're gonna buy beans and have them ground or grinded. I mean,
and a new Keurig.
Mr. Colby is here. He knows everything. Colby, what is the right tense? What is the right tense for me to use? Should she grind her beans or ground her beans?
No, grind. No, grind is the word.
Well, but the way you're using grind, you're using it it's almost like there's a laugh on your face. Are you? I'm talking about grind as it relates to grinding beans.
All right, I know.
So it is the right text.
Yeah.
It is the right tense.
Grind is present tense. Ground is past tense.
I told you Mr. Colby knows the English language. He's the only man I know from Andres who knows the English.
What about the guy we had on the show the other day, the teacher?
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's good.
He's all right.
Hold on. He made it very clear that his navel string is in Savannah Sound, Eleuthera.
Okay.
The birthplace of my mother, the birthplace of some very, very experienced and talented educators. Don't try to give that to Andres. Give Andres the crabs. Give Andres the petroleum industry. It's a wonderful, wonderful exchange.
I have to get...
Go ahead, Mr. Colby.
Before we close out, ladies and gentlemen, there are like three or four things I need to say. The management agreement, according to the Deputy Prime Minister, requires a capital injection of $450 million. And Bahamas Power and Light is empowered to issue rate reduction bonds by law to be able to invest in these new power plants to drive down the cost of electricity. As you know, BEC incurs $20 to $30 million a year in losses, and it has to be picked up by the taxpayers. Also, $240 million of the legacy debt of BEC is guaranteed by the government, and so with this new arrangement, where they can raise money as a standalone company on their own, the contingent liability of $240 million is removed of the government's balance sheet. So the national debt is reduced by $240 million almost immediately. I want to list the board of directors very, very quickly. The chairman of the board, the new board, is Nathaniel Benabine. Mrs. Donna Smith, deputy chairman. Mr. Deepak Bhatnagar is the executive director. Mrs. Patricia Hermans is the director. Mr. Andrew Rogers, director. Daphne Simmons, director. Now, the base management fee is $2 million a year. It's a 5-year contract. That's $10 million. And there is incentive because you have 11 objectives that the government has laid out for them to meet. 11 objectives of efficiency. And if they meet those objectives, they get 150% bonus. They can make as much as $3 million.
Fair is fair.
Yeah, right. And so,
but that's the entire board?
No, not the board, the company.
Yeah, the management company.
That's those are the names you called.
Oh, that's the entire board. Yeah, yeah.
That's it. No, but it can't be entire board. I didn't hear Earl The Pearl.
Oh, no. But you didn't.
Freddie B.
so they have performance compensation of bonuses up to 150% of the base fee. And the deputy prime minister said that $2.5 million of the performance bonus will be based on an achievement of 11 key performance objectives or key performance indicators, including factors such as the management of non-fuel costs. Now, you know, that's one of the biggest problems. The average in the Caribbean could be somewhere around 5 to 7%, but in the Bahamas, it's around 20, 30%. Non-fuel costs, we just call it TFID, but it's called non-fuel costs. Fuel volume usage, efficiency of fuel, volatility, reliability factors such as the average number of outages. You see, if there's less outages, if they bring it down to zero, the closer they get the outages to zero, the more bonus money they get. So there's an incentive to bring the blackouts to an end. All right, so efficiency and fuel, volatility, reliability factors such as average number of outages and the duration of such outages. So if there's an outage, the quicker they can get the power back up, the more money they can make, more incentive, and for more reason for you to be on the board. Customer service metrics, financial strength of Bahamas Power and Light, and others. So 2.5 of the $3 million bonus could be that, and the remaining $500,000 is if they exceed the targets. If you meet the targets, you get 2.5. If you exceed, you get 3. And the very last point I want to make is that the Mediterranean shipping company that has just signed this $100 million heads of agreement to develop Ocean Key, your favorite key, your favorite Aragonite key, right?
I've 1 or 2 square feet of land there.
Yeah. Okay. As you know, Hutchinson One Power are good port developers. They're lousy at hotel management. So Mediterranean, management, Mediterranean cruise, MSC. They have decided that
MSG is what Tanya
MSG.
No, I don't. Oh my gosh, I love mustache.
Do not be distracted by Tanya Brown.
So the Mediterranean shipping company, in addition to developing Ocean Key, has a touristic interest in Grand Bahama. They want to buy the Grand Lucaya, our Lucaya. So today, the Prime Minister is leaving the country, and he's going to Switzerland. He's going to meet with the principals of MSC about changing the ownership of that hotel in Freeport. Another step in returning Grand Bahama or Freeport to the Magic City.
Grand Bahama could be on a roll. Welcome. This is Plain Truth speaking, Earl The Pearl in the house. Once again, if you're just joining us, we are leaving you. That question for Dr. Menace. What does Lady Saw Roll have that Heather Hunt does not? See you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., bright and sharp. Nice having you with us.
And you are my girl. No one can hurt you.